Right. So I'd like to welcome everyone today for our short get-together to get to know a little bit more about our guests. First of all, my name is Laura Price. I am a psychologist in New York City, co-founder of JNL Psychology Group, and also a board member of the New York Center for Emotionally Focused Therapy, otherwise known as NYCEFT. And our talk today is really on behalf of NYCEFT. I want to welcome Alexine Thompson and Benoit today, just to talk about the workshop that is coming up May 18th and 19th across the pond in New York City. I have to say, you're both in Switzerland, and I'm not, and so I'm very envious right now. We're so thrilled to have you both. We've been hearing so much about neurodiverse couples and how to work with couples with ADHD. So I'd really love to learn more from each of you about your work, the two of you, and what got you interested in this passion about working with neurodiverse couples, specifically with ADHD.
Okay. I can start. Is that okay? Yeah. So for me, it's a very personal reason. My husband of 25 years has ADHD. And it's not something I've always known for sure, but I've suspected it for a long time. And since it became more clear, I started really wondering, how do we make EFT work when you have someone who is impacted by ADHD, and just kind of questioning my own, what I knew about the model, and how do I apply this to my own relationship. And then I started reading more about ADHD, and what started happening in my practice is, because I was learning more about that condition, I was recognizing it in my couples, and I started spotting ADHD in some people and bringing it up, and that got confirmed. And so then my interest became more and more focused on that, and how do I help these couples? Well, I also help my own relationship. So that's a little bit of the background of why I have a special interest for that. And then I met Ben, and it turns out he also had a lot of experience in his practice, but I'll let you talk about that, Ben.
Right. Yes. I mean, I have been working with ADHD before I discovered EFT. It was in my practice where I was responsible for the assessment of ADHD. And we had so many cases here in Zurich that I also provided group therapy just to help more people, and also to make those people comfortable in a group, and knowing other people who are neurodiverse and can help out each other. So that was my background since 2014. And then I discovered only couples therapy and EFT, and it helped me to apply what I have learned in EFT to also work with the ADHD diagnosed people. So it is a bit the other way around. But still, I think it's very helpful to look through the EFT lens, because oftentimes we in ADHD treatment are very strong in coaching and behavioral therapy, and it's also not helpful to just apply those and neglecting the attachment lens. Mm. And because you were already pretty open, Alexine, about your husband, maybe I also tell that I myself have ADHD. It's not because of that that I chose the topic. It was more a coincidence, if such things are for real. And because the practice I was working in was specialized on ADHD, and I had the diagnosis, but I wasn't especially seeking the topic because of that.
So I think it sounds like with so many people in this field, the personal becomes professional, and it impacts us as human beings, and also then fuels the work. And it sounds like that's the case for both of you. And I'm really curious about, you know, one of the questions I think that's coming up is, are you both finding that you're now seeing couples with people who are already diagnosed with ADHD, and maybe a neurodiverse couple is one who's neurotypical and the other might be diagnosed with the ADHD? Or are you finding that couples are coming in and it is just now sort of coming to light and they haven't been diagnosed yet?
Well, I think maybe for you, Ben, it's a little different because you have that specialty and you are known as a specialist in that area. I'm not yet. So for me, it's been more couples who didn't know. They didn't know that there was a diagnosis. There was no diagnosis. And I recognized something in the dynamic that screams ADHD or ADD. And so for me, it's been more about how to bring that up gently, with compassion, with in a way that feels safe, and how to refer then further for assessment, and then how to work with that. And my experience has been that usually there's a huge relief in finding out, oh, that's what it is, and that's why, and initially, and then it's still the hard work of working around that and with that and embracing that and grieving a bunch of things, and so that we can work with what is there and what is there to celebrate as well. So that's been my process, and I'm guessing for you, Ben, it's maybe the other way around.
Yeah, that's correct. And people already know that and know the special focus of couples therapy, and that's why they come diagnosed. And sometimes I have to pay attention that if someone comes who has no diagnosis, I would just miss it because I think, oh, that's one of those couples who has no diagnosis, and it happened every now and then that eventually I discovered it also, of course, when they haven't known about it yet.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's sort of a mix for the both of you. You mentioned just now, Alexine, about, you know, a couple comes in and maybe they're not aware, and something screams that there's ADHD in the room. Could you both sort of share with us about, and especially from an EFT lens, and when you're tracking the cycle, what is it that comes up that you notice, you say, maybe there's some ADHD here that's impacting their connection?
Mm-hmm. For me, in terms of the dynamic, what I will often see is a partner who doesn't have ADHD and who is complaining a lot about feeling let down, about feeling like I can't let you, you're not reliable. I can't lean on you. You procrastinate, you don't, you forget everything that I ask you to do, and you don't finish what you start, and I feel forgotten. I have to double, triple check everything. You don't get started on things that are important. You get distracted. I mean, all these things become a lot of accusations and reproaches. And in terms of emotions, for the non-ADHD partner, there's a lot of anger on the surface, and then a lot of feeling lonely and huge mental load. Feeling invisible and forgotten, and a deep sense of unfairness. And then the partner who has ADHD will often be a little bit baffled, like, I don't really know why I can't get started, or why I can't finish something. I don't know. It's weird, because when it's about something else, or work or a passion, I can do it, but it's true, I don't know. And then in terms of the cycle, the more reproaches and accusations they get, the more they tend to escape into something more pleasant, or I've had mostly withdrawers in my practice. I know it's not always like that, but you really see that pattern of getting distracted with something else, and then forgetting about the conflict and not coming back to address it, and which, you know, makes it even worse. So it's mostly, I guess for me, it's in the complaint of the partner. I see the symptoms, and then I see this sort of like surprised, or I'm baffled. I don't really understand why I can't do the things that I should be doing in that partner that's affected by ADHD.
Right. So interesting in hearing how the cycle works. And what I'm hearing you say, Alexine, is that the partner is usually the one coming with the anger and like, I'm feeling so alone and invisible in this, and that's only serving for the ADHD impacted partner to withdraw more. And that,
yeah, because it just pushes on that shame button, which is often hidden, but it's most always there.
yeah.
And then that sort of a paralysis, because I'm so used to messing up and doing things wrong, not getting it right, that I become afraid of trying also, which we can see in a normal pursue withdrawal cycle, but I find that quite exacerbated in the ADHD impacted cycle.
Yeah, makes sense. What about you, Ben? What do you see in the cycle?
Well, I mean, I think the most visible thing is that the cycle and everything that we are working on in therapy, in regular therapy, just doesn't work so well. And you, I mean, we all get that it's hard, that couples don't make progress, or they seem to forget it easily. But with ADHD impacted cycles, if one or even both partners have it, they really can't. And there is a difference between when you think, well, there's maybe just another layer, maybe there is more shame, or maybe, yeah, they don't take ownership of their actions yet. So we just have to work more on the cycle and de-escalation. But with ADHD impact, I don't know how to correctly name it also, because it's not my mother tongue, but I think when there is ADHD, those people, they really struggle. They want, let's say they want, and you believe they really want not to be as impulsive. They really don't want to be forgetful, but they can't. And that's for me a sign that maybe there is ADHD involved, and it's something more than just the impact that the partner has or that their history might have, which definitely plays a role, but on top there is something more and less controllable by our work that we regularly do.
I would just add, sorry, Laura, if I may, I would add, it's not just an action tendency, right? It's bigger than that. It's not just a way to cope. It's something they don't fully have control over, and it's a real suffering.
Yeah, I'm very struck by what you're both saying, and I think what we're so looking forward to hearing from both of you is that there is a real struggle at a very organic level here that's impacting couples who come in, and they're trying to connect so desperately and really don't know how. And so I'm very curious if you could share with our audience then what we could hope to gain as you take us through this awareness, and then the awareness of the cycle, and then as clinicians, what we can hope to learn from the both of you about how to work with neurodiverse couples and people who are impacted by ADHD. The workshop.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's been a process of familiarizing myself with the diagnosis so that I can weave into my reflections, into my interventions, weave a little bit of psychoeducation that is going to have a validating, normalizing impact. There's a lot of things we need to do a little bit differently, like we need to slice it thinner, we need to do smaller slices, like we can't do too long of a stretch of deepening because we may lose one of the partners. So there's the technical aspects of how to work with someone who may struggle to stay present, or who may go all over the map, and we have to bring them back. And then there's there's the knowledge that we need to have so that we can really operate in empathy and foster that empathy in the partner, in both actually, because there's also a lot of suffering for the non-ADHD impacted partner. I mean, they are impacted by ADHD, they don't have it. And so how to use what we know about that diagnosis so that we can meet each one where they are at and weave into our reflections and into the reflections of the cycle that knowledge and that psychoeducation. And then what are some of the specific emotions that may be hidden, but that we're going to have to go deep in and work with in stage 2. And strategies, or it's almost like we can't just do EFT interventions. We need to add a little bit of structure and strategies and things that are going to make sure that what we do, the good work we do in session, will hold, will not be forgotten, will not fly out the window the minute they leave our office. And so we have to get creative here, and that's some of the stuff we're going to talk about during the training, and what we can add to protect the beautiful process that we do in EFT.
Beautifully said. Ben, I would love to hear more what you have to add to what Alexine is saying.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning, of course, that's nothing to add. And I would just say the process itself, I would like to highlight that, how we maybe adapt also the tango, each step of the tango, just to be more ADHD aware. That's something that we're also going to practice, right? It's one thing to know about it, to hear about it, to know I have to be creative, but we will bring a lot of video material and exercises so that you can practice that process that might be different. And if you like that, I mean, that's not directly how we work with the couple, but I could also give some insight of how it is to be an ADHD impacted therapist. And if there are others, which might be the case, and help or share strategies for that question.
Well, this sounds like it will be such a rich experience for any clinician, and certainly for EFT clinicians, is to really understand what I'm hearing you both say, which is just even the assessment process and look and understanding, is this what we're seeing here? And then how is it impacting the relationship? And then, as you both are saying, really getting into the process and looking at how we go deeper, how do we make this sticky so that this couple can really connect with each other and they can take this outside into the world and into their relationship as it goes forward. So, well, I'm really looking forward to it and meeting the both of you. And I know so many EFT therapists are excited about this topic. So I want to thank you both for joining me today, and we'll definitely look forward to seeing you in May. And if there's anything else any questions, feel free to reach out, and we can also share with our audience if we have a part 2.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. We're excited. Come join us. It's going to be fun. We make it fun too. It's
always fun in New York City, so we're happy to have you there. All right, thank you. Remember, everyone, May 18th and 19th in Manhattan, live and in person, you get to meet Alexine and Ben and their wonderful work. Thanks for joining us.